Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Not long after reopening, a pedestrian border crossing is closed again. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amitha Sharma, in for Maya Trabulsi. This weekend marked the beginning of the temporary closure of Ped West. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman says businesses in San Ysidro are feeling the pinch during what is typically the busy holiday season.
They close it, we can see just right away everything go down, the business.
Blocks away from the U.S.-Mexico border, Carol and Shoes owner Olivia Campos says Ped West's closure was felt right away.
This Saturday and Sunday, we are like waiting for customers and we don't see customers. If you can see, there are no people walking, no cars, no nothing. It's like we don't have a customer.
Customs and Border Protection officials say they needed to temporarily close Ped West in order to redirect staff following increasing numbers of migrant crossings. Ped West was closed for nearly 3 years during the pandemic, and it reopened in January. But then it was shuttered temporarily again this September, and now again during one of the busiest times of the year for local businesses, holiday shopping season.
It's when we get some money to cover for the bad months. But this year we don't see nothing. It's bad for everybody, not only in San Ysidro, Chula Vista, National City, everywhere is the same thing.
Campos says running her shoe and clothing store has been tough the last few years. She understands the need for border security, but wonders if it's possible to speed up wait times for those in cars. She says customers are telling her they're waiting hours to cross, and Campos estimates 70% of her customers come from Mexico.
I don't know why everybody decide to do everything in the best time of the year, Christmas time. Why they don't do it in slow months like October or September, that is slow months? Why they have to choose this time of the season?
The owner of nearby Maya's Gourmet Pizza says San Ysidro Boulevard just hasn't been as busy compared to previous years. He tells me he's sold his business and won't be here in the new year. CBP officials say they will provide updates on the temporary closure when they can. They say the border security mission remains the #1 priority, and those crossing in cars or elsewhere may experience some longer wait times. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Traffic at the border has long been a problem, and it's only gotten worse. Coming up, KPBS looks into the trends causing longer wait times.
Well, we're going to increase that marine layer, meaning that we are going to be talking more about some low clouds and patchy fog there west of the mountains. But hey, as we head into the later half of the week, temperatures are going to take a swing in the upward trend as we are talking about a warming trend towards the later half of the week. How warm are we getting? Well, we'll have the details on that coming up.
TriCity Medical Center has been up and running for a few weeks, but it's still feeling the effects of a cyber attack that impacted operations in November. KPBS North County reporter Jacob Ayer says now it appears some patient data has been posted online.
Just days ago, a cybersecurity expert posted on social media that an extortion operation called Ink Ransom announced it had records stolen from TriCity Medical Center. Reportedly, some were posted on the dark web.
When someone posts online, they're showing almost as proof that they have breached the system, and then typically will follow that with some type of a demand. In that case, it becomes ransomware.
The post included proof in the form of 8 pages, presumably taken from TriCity during the digital attack, according to cybersecurity expert Nicholas Behar.
We're seeing them post things like patient authorization forms, financial records, and they're going to contain things like name, phone number, but we're not certain if they access any of the electronic medical records.
We reached out to TriCity, but they did not respond to a request for an interview or statement on the matter. So what can patients do right now to protect themselves?
Monitor your credit. You can request free credit reports from all 3 credit bureaus and place freezes on your credit and your children's credit. This is very important to help thwart potential identity theft.
Easterly says there has been a large increase in cybercrime since the pandemic, which shifted much of our lives online.
If you are a victim where they are putting it online, first things first is to get in touch with your local FBI office or your law enforcement fusion center.
Currently, there is no indication of just how many TriCity records are in the attacker's possession. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
We will hear more from cybersecurity expert Nicholas Behar coming up, how he's working to stay one step ahead of hackers and teaching others how to as well. A California appeals court will hear arguments this week on a challenge to the state's new solar rules. 3 environmental groups argue regulators failed to meet requirements set down in the state's public utility code when they approved rules slashing the value of rooftop solar. Attorney Aaron Stanton says it's rare for a challenge of the California Public Utilities decision to get this far.
For Public Utilities Commission decisions, you have to go straight to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal has discretion about whether or not they decide to hear the case. So in this case, the Court of Appeal exercised its discretion to hear the case. And so the oral argument and the hearing on the case will be December 13th.
It is unclear when a decision will be issued. KPBS has covered the fallout from new solar regulations in depth. You can find out more about the impact on the solar industry at kpbs.org or watch the story on our YouTube page. As Israel enters its 3rd month in its war against Hamas, reports of hatred in America continue. There's been an uptick in incidents of anti-Semitism, anti-Muslim bias, and hate speech across college campuses. Gloria Pazmino has more.
We won't stand for it, we won't tolerate it, and we come together to condemn it yet again today.
This scene is the latest example of the anti-Semitic incidents spreading across college campuses in the U.S. Yale issued a statement Sunday condemning a video showing a person wearing a traditional Palestinian scarf, climbing the menorah, and hanging a Palestinian flag from it.
I have heard from students saying they're moving out of dorms. They're thinking of transferring schools because they don't feel safe.
It's not just students. Leaders of some of America's most prestigious universities are also facing scrutiny. The president of the University of Pennsylvania stepped down from the Ivy League school following a storm of criticism after a congressional hearing about anti-Semitism and hate on college campuses.
I've heard that thoughtless, reckless, and hateful language on our campus.
Harvard President Claudine Gay has apologized for her remarks and remains in her post despite calls for her removal. On the other hand, Gay has more than 600 signatures in support from faculty members.
Anti-Semitism is very real, and we've been seeing it on college campuses across the country. We see it in rising hate crime statistics, and we can't just dismiss it.
Gloria Pasmino, KPBS News.
And now, from hate to hope this holiday season, at the La Jolla Country Day School, staff, students, and their families started a gift drive this morning to support foster youth and children from low-income communities. KPBS education reporter MG Perez tells us this is a local light in the shadow of world events.
There's a nice blanket in here, which is honestly my always go-to for gifts. I always give a nice blanket, can never go wrong.
16-year-old Jack Tobel is a junior here at La Jolla Country Day School. He is also a volunteer with some of his classmates in a more than 20-year tradition known as the Giving Tree.
I'm ethnically Jewish. My grandparents are Jewish. We don't practice, but we kind of do a mix of both. We always celebrate Hanukkah. We always celebrate Christmas.
Both holidays include gift giving, and these gifts are going to children who need them most. Angela Fukamura is the parent organizer of the Giving Tree, which works with county social workers and charities that help children learn and meet their basic needs. They provide specific wish lists to the school that then get handed to students and families.
Lip balm, insulated water bottle.
There is a lesson of compassion happening over the next couple of days as gifts are prepared for delivery during a holiday season that is shadowed by war and religious conflict half a world away.
It's important for us to acknowledge everyone's humanity and dignity, and by doing so, it starts right here at home. It goes out to the world, and I hope that's what the kids here at Country Day, I think, are gaining from their experience.
This holiday season has been really meaningful for my family and myself.
Country Day senior Madeline Toronto celebrates Hanukkah. She also serves on the school's community service board with her classmate Maya Krishnan, who celebrates a less traditional season of holiday spirit. Both find themselves as leaders in training for a better future.
Jewish youth like myself, our parents just keep passing down to us that, you know, we're the next generation, and in the midst of anti-Semitism, we are going to need to stand up for ourselves.
Spread that importance of counting our blessings, being grateful, kind of spread joy and peace in a way wherever we can, when we see that, like, our world might fall apart very soon.
It's really special to feel that extra sense of community during a time where it's very much needed.
By Wednesday, the Giving Tree Project expects to have gifts for more than 400 children, from infants to teenagers. Whatever is collected will be wrapped and ready, prepared by Country Day students doing their part for peace this holiday season. MG Perez, KPBS News.
Long wait times to travel north across the Tijuana-San Diego border is an ugly fact of life we've all gotten used to. But now, traffic is jamming up for people going south. KPBS border reporter Gustavo Solis examines this unsettling new trend.
Rush hour at the border is a symphony of honking cars. Gloria was stuck in the middle of it last Thursday afternoon as she headed south to her home in Tijuana. It took her half an hour to drive just 2 blocks.
It's crazy. 2 o'clock on, if you're not in line, you're going to be hours to get across.
Cross-border traffic is not a new phenomenon. For decades, people have waited as long as 3, 4, even 5 hours to cross from Tijuana into San Diego. But now, we're seeing traffic jams in both directions.
Everyone started seeing and noticing 2, maybe 3 hour wait times heading southbound into Mexico, which was completely uncommon.
Joaquin Lucan is the executive director of the Smart Border Coalition. He says the organization started noticing problems about 6 months ago. Southbound border traffic has increased slowly but steadily over the last couple of years as the housing crunch has forced more people to live in Tijuana and work in San Diego.
The binational workforce keeps growing, and more with the news of San Diego being the most expensive city in the U.S. So that just creates more stress on Tijuana, and that creates more stress on the border crosser and on the borders and on our infrastructure.
It used to be that this kind of traffic was only bad on Fridays, but now it happens every day of the work week. Streetlight Data is a mobility platform that analyzes thousands of data sources to study traffic patterns. They compared southbound border traffic from January through March of 2022 to the same period of this year. Streetlight Data engineer Jim Hubble says the data show a steady increase.
I would say the rush hour has gone to rush hours, so it's starting earlier and it's ending later.
This kind of traffic can ruin someone's day. Just imagine waiting 3 hours to cross into San Diego, then work an 8-hour shift, and finally wait another 2 hours to go back home to Tijuana.
I mean, so much of your life is lost waiting in the borderline.
Margaret Yoba is the co-owner of the San Diego-based Border Traffic, which developed an app that gives users real-time view of traffic along the border. The company launched with 1 camera in 2010. Now, it has more than 40 cameras and tens of thousands of users, all of them planning their entire schedule around border traffic.
People really depend on our service because it does offer something that you can't get anywhere else. Nobody else has these live video updates.
Northbound border traffic has impacts that go way beyond inconvenience. It costs the San Diego-Tijuana border region billions of dollars in lost productivity each year. The increase in southbound traffic is nowhere near that point. but it's so bad that the president of Mexico had to get involved. During a pre-planned visit to Baja California in November, local reporters asked President Andrés Manuel López Obrador to fix the situation.
Es muy tardado, la gente se enoja, viene cansada.
Reporter Yolanda Morales told the president that people are angry and tired. The president said he'd take care of it. Give me until the end of the year, he said.
Vamos a poner fin de año.
And the situation has improved. Before López Obrador's visit, there would be only 6 southbound lanes at the border crossing. Now, all 20 are open. Lucan says these changes come at a perfect time, right before the holiday shopping season.
We've already been seeing some of the benefits of having all the lanes open, most of the lanes open, heading into Tijuana.
Still, it's not enough. KPBS talked to several commuters on their way to Tijuana in the middle of Thursday's rush hour.
Está feo el tráfico, no sé por qué no agiliza o se hace algo para agilizar el tráfico.
Victoria said she waited 4 hours to cross into San Diego that morning, then waited another hour to get back into Tijuana.
No, pues se pone de mal humor el bebé porque y ahorita quiere ir al baño.
To make matters worse, her son had to go to the bathroom. Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.
A big boost for California's high-speed rail project. President Biden awarded more than $8 billion for 10 rail projects, 2 of which are right here in California. Zach Fuentes explains.
The California HighSpeed Rail has been a long talked about project that for some has generated a lot of excitement.
People that are living in Fresno could be working in Silicon Valley or downtown San Francisco.
But after hitting a series of roadblocks, the long-awaited rail line still is not here. Friday, though, those in support of it are cheering after the announcement from President Joe Biden.
Part of $8.2 billion investment we're making in 10 major rail projects across America.
Nearly $6.1 billion of the $8 billion is coming right here to California. Nearly half to the Bright Line West project to connect Las Vegas to Los Angeles, and the rest to the high-speed rail project that would connect Los Angeles to San Francisco.
This investment has concrete benefits that will keep us on schedule to open that initial operating line. It could not be done without this investment.
The project has seen deadline extensions and cost overruns for years, and though the new funding keeps it on track, the current deadline is still years away.
All of this will be completed, will be in initial operating segments in that 2030, 2031 window, roughly.
The long project has had an impact on many in the Central Valley, like this Fresno business owner impacted by the construction.
Lots of street closures. People have had to find different ways to get to Chinatown, to Central Fish.
Even though the new funding comes from the bipartisan infrastructure law, not all lawmakers are excited about it. In a statement, the vice chair of the state's Assembly Transportation Committee, Assemblymember Vince Fong, said in part, today's funding is a drop in the bucket. As costs continue to spiral out of control, what will Democrats cut from the budget to keep funding this money pit? Former Governor Jerry Brown, who led the earliest efforts to get the project going, spoke Friday about the new funding in a call that included Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi.
Inherent in a big project like this are difficulties and plenty of critics. But the fact that the president, with all his experts, have felt it appropriate to put up billions of dollars, that's a big vote of confidence.
An investigation is underway after a 52-foot fin whale washed ashore at Pacific Beach over the weekend. A team from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration was called to examine the whale and collect samples. Biologists say they don't yet know how the whale died.
We did see signs or evidence of perhaps scavenging from sharks. There were some rake marks in it, but nothing that would have killed this animal.
Biologists say the whale was not fully grown, as adult fin whales can exceed 70 feet. The whale is expected to be towed away from the beach and dropped into the ocean. Somewhere it will sink.
Well, let's start you off with your weather headlines. What you need to know as we head over the next few days. Now, we are talking about that increase in cloud cover, particularly with the low clouds and patchy fog west of the mountains. So, of course, that can cause some lowered visibility and some travel issues. So just take it easy on the roads if you do have to head out and about. Now, we are talking about an uptick in winds as we head into the middle half of the week. Breezy northerly winds coming in on Wednesday, though. As we head into the later half of the week, we are going to start on a warming trend that's going going to stick with us there throughout the weekend. Now tonight we're dropping down to a low of 48 with mostly cloudy skies. Again, we are talking about that increase in cloud cover. Oceanside, you're dropping down to a low of 41, Ramona 36, and Borrego Springs 41. Now Oceanside, you're rising to the 60s there tomorrow. Similar story even down through San Diego. Now 70s in store a little bit further inland. Ramona at 70 tomorrow. Borrego Springs not too far off from that with a high of 71, and even Mount Laguna coming in with a high of 48. Now let's take you along the coast here over these next few days. Like I said, we are going to start on that warming trend there towards the later half of the week. Tuesday, we're at a high of 67. We'll have mostly sunny skies there as we head throughout the afternoon. Remember, just dealing with those low clouds early on in the day. Sunny skies in store for Wednesday. We'll hit a high of 66, but then we are up to the 70s there by the later half of the week. Thursday, plenty of sunshine, 73 for the high, and we're rising even through Friday with the high of 74. And Saturday, yes, you see a high of 76 in store there along the coast. Now you're also going to experience a warm up there further inland. We're in the low 70s there Tuesday, Wednesday, but then we're rising quite rapidly as we head into the later half of the week. Thursday, you're at 76. Friday, flirting with 80. Hey, we're not flirting anymore as we head into the weekend. Saturday, you'll have a high of 80 with mostly sunny skies. For the mountains, well, you'll even see a slight uptick in the mercury there. 48 Tuesday will dip to 44 on Wednesday and Thursday, back up to 50 there by Friday, and still in the upper 40s there by Saturday. Now for the deserts, well, you're staying relatively steady throughout the week, though you will have mostly sunny skies. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Bree Guy.
As we've seen, cyber attacks are a threat to people and businesses, and good cybersecurity is vital to prevent you from being impersonated online or having your bank account raided. KPBS SciTech reporter Thomas Fudge spoke with a man who is devoted to staying a step ahead of cyber criminals and teaching the next generation to do the same.
The internet is a tough neighborhood, and Nicholas Behar is a hacker. He's among the many who show up every year at DEF CON in Las Vegas, that great hacker convention. But Nico, as everyone calls him, insists he's on the right side of the firewall. He calls himself an ethical hacker. In other words, he works for groups that need protection from criminal hackers trying to break into their vaults of valued passwords and data.
A lot of people, when they think about hackers, they'll think about people that are in hoodies, but there's a movement in the industry that's trying to kind of change that narrative and show that hackers aren't necessarily bad.
As a protective hacker, Nico says he needs to think like a hacker. When he works for a client, he tries to break into their system to spot vulnerabilities. One example, he was able to hack into the system of a hospital client.
So what I was able to do was park across the street in my rental car with a special antenna, and I was able to connect to their Wi-Fi and actually communicate with a heart monitor on their network from across the street, all because they hadn't configured their Wi-Fi correctly and it was leaking outside of the building.
Another example, he was working for a hedge fund and got into their building after hours. He jumped over a cubicle wall to find 2 unlocked computers.
So we demonstrated that we would have been able to make, a $5 million trade, without anybody really noticing, because there's a cubicle that's supposed to be secure, and the wall of that cubicle doesn't go all the way to the ceiling, and the stuff in the cubicle is not locked or encrypted.
So who are the hackers with bad intentions? Sometimes they work for national governments that want to pose a security threat to the U.S. Sometimes they're just looking for money, and that's why they target people like you and your personal information.
First name, last name, social security, date of birth, and then you take all that data and you can sell it in bulk to the highest bidder.
Kristen De Hoyos is a cybersecurity architect who leads San Diego's chapter of the group OWASP, which hosts cybersecurity training. Whatever a hacker's motivation, there are a lot of them. De Hoyos cites a study that shows that on a global scale, we're 4 million people short of having enough qualified cybersecurity professionals. That's despite the fact that the workforce is growing by about 10% every year.
The takeaway is that the defense side isn't growing at the pace that the offensive side's capabilities are growing.
In a classroom at the University of San Diego, Nico Behar lectures to students in a class on cybersecurity, presenting a series of steps to contain and eradicate a cyber attack. Students here tell their own stories of being hacked, seeing unknown charges placed on their credit cards. Maya Morales, a master's student in cybersecurity engineering, said she had to counsel her grandmother after her online accounts were hacked.
So I'm like, okay, so this is what happened. You clicked on something, you answered a call, you put in your bank information, you put in your password on a fake website that you thought maybe was your bank or you thought maybe was Facebook.
Yep, anybody can be a target, like I was.
The computer lock is aimed to stop illegal activity. Please call our support immediately. Important security message.
I was working on this story using my laptop when suddenly a window appeared with a Microsoft logo, locked my computer, and started making that announcement over and over again. They claimed to be a Microsoft support group, but it was a scam, phishing for my personal and workplace data. Behar says so many of the things that underpin our society are run on systems that are, quote, archaic, arcane, and are still online, and they can be pretty easy to hack.
So airport, train station, factory, any one of the big industries, you're going to have old systems in there that are running the show.
At DEF CON this year, which Nico attended, there were a crazy number of subjects. There was a talk about a vulnerability in Intel chips, also a talk about teenagers who were able to hack into Boston Transit and then ride for free. Nico adds that if you want to be good at stopping hackers, it helps if you're into it, if you're the kind of person who wants to get together with your buddies and talk about the latest hacks. And if you are like that, cybersecurity almost certainly has a job waiting for you. Thomas Fudge, KPBS News.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you for joining us. I'm Amita Sharma, and have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Previs Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. By viewers like you. Thank you.